Okay, so question number 15, if we look at it, you're going to notice that if you go and you make your x and it multiplies to 7 and adds to 4, there's nothing we're going to be able to do that with. So 7 and 1 are the only things that work to multiply to 7, and so we can't possibly get this adds to 4. So we're not going to get any factored or critical values. So we need to go straight to our axis of symmetry, which is that negative b over 2a formula. This is going to give us negative 4 over 2, which is the same thing as negative 2, being the middle of our line. In my class, you're not going to get credit for this if it doesn't say x equals. Okay, so you have to make sure it says x equals. You want to go and you want to put it on your graph at negative 2. So there's my line of symmetry. Okay, to get my vertex, I need to go and plug that negative 2 in. So I'm going to zoom in here and do that work. So negative 2 squared and 4 times negative 2. Negative 2 squared is going to make positive 4 minus 8 minus 7. Let me double check and make sure that is a minus. It's not, it's a plus. So 4 minus 8 gives me negative 4 plus 7 gives me positive 3. So my vertex, my x of the vertex is negative 2. My y of the vertex I just found at positive 3. I'm going to go put that on my graph. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to zoom in. It's a little more difficult on an iPad. I'm going to go put that point there. Okay. You should be getting a concave up graph since this was positive in the front when we originally look at it. So that's kind of what tells you that it's not going to have any of those factored values, is that we can see my vertex is already above my x-axis. Since this is concave up, it's a U shape. That U shape should have a minimum. Okay, so the bottom of my U is a minimum. My y-intercept is 7. They gave it to me in factored form, so 7 is the right way to go. So I'm going to come zoom in, and I'm going to go to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to mirror that across my line of symmetry. Right now I have 3 points, and 3 points are all that I need for this graph in particular. The reason why is because I don't have any x-intercepts to worry about. So you're going to go ahead, draw your U shape. Hopefully yours looks a little better than mine. Notice that the one above required 5 points. It required that vertex, the y-intercept, and mirrored, and then those 2 x-intercepts. Okay, so they require different things depending on what type of problem they are. Number 16. This one's going to be a concave down graph. So I know it's going to have a maximum. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to factor this out. Since it has a negative in the front, I need to factor out the negative to get positive x squared plus 2x minus 2. I'm going to try to multiply to multiply to negative 2 and add to positive 2. There's no possible things that will do that. I can try my 1 times 2 in all the different ways, and it just doesn't work. So now I get to go to my axis of symmetry. There's no factor, there's no critical values, there's no x-intercepts. Okay, not that we know about. So then I need to go and make my axis of symmetry. My axis of symmetry, again, is that x equals negative b over 2a. It has to be memorized. My negative b is going to be negative 2, because I'm going from the original. If you go from the new one, that's totally fine too. Just know that your a is going to be 1 in that case instead of a negative 1. On the bottom, I get my a is a negative 1 because I'm going off of my original. So I get a negative, which makes a positive. 2 divided by negative 2 is going to be negative 1. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go put my axis of symmetry on negative 1. I'm going to go plug negative 1 into my original formula. So I'm going to erase this work that I did to factor. Negative 1 squared. This gives me positive 1, but it's a negative on the outside, so I get a negative 1. Minus 2 times negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, but a minus makes a plus. Plus 2, plus 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, minus 1 is going to be 3. But my vertex isn't just a 3, it is that negative 1 comma 3. So let's go put that on my graph. Negative 1, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, this one's going to have x-intercepts even though it didn't factor. My guess is that those x-intercepts are going to be weirdo schmeardo numbers. So let's go see. My y-intercept is a positive 2. So I'm going to put that on my graph, positive 2. Going to mirror it over at positive 2. Okay, and I'm going to draw my U shape. It asked me for 5 points, so this is where you can't forget that the original is like up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 5 over 1. Okay, so this one's going down, so we go down 1 over 1, down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. And so I can mirror that across. And I get my U shape like this, where my x-intercepts are somewhere between negative 2 and negative 3, and somewhere between 0 and 1. (17) we are going to skip. Okay, that's the end of this type of review. However, you should have more pages at your axis. Those are all graphing reviews, so I'm going to go ahead and pause right here.